Hey, y'all. So I wanted to get on here to address a question that I get pretty often. Very common question. And that question is, what is the difference between stakeholders and audiences? Now, often I consult nonprofit organizations and thought leaders. And so those are the spaces where typically this question comes up. And so if you imagine two different categories, right, or two different columns, your stakeholders would be over here, and they would really come first because your stakeholders, these are people that have skin in the game. These are people who have made some sort of meaningful contribution to your work, your company, your organization. So, for example, your funders, your donors, um, any partners that you frequently collaborate with, right? These are examples of stakeholders. Another stakeholder example could be, particularly if you're an advocacy-based organization, the actual people and communities that you serve, right? Because the impact or the outcomes of your work are going to directly affect their lives, um, their environments, right? And so again, these people really have a vested interest in your success. Now, your audiences are in the separate column, right? Your audiences are more passive, right? Your audiences, if you just really think about a traditional audience, imagine a movie theater, right? The audience is literally bearing witness to what is playing out, right? So, um, being on social media, being on YouTube, these are folks who are observing the work from afar, right? Stakeholders can be a part of that audience, right? Because they're observing what's happening, but stakeholders may also have more of an inside track, whereas audiences are more external. They're more on the outside, right? And so, an example of an audience would be any similar organizations, right, that you may potentially want to partner with, right? These are folks that you really see some mission alignment and, maybe they're bigger than you. And so you want to get their attention, you want to attract their eye. They would be a part of your audience. Members of the media, and some people disagree with media, being an audience or stakeholder. I think that they are more of an audience because, again, they are observing. They are supposed to be objective, right? And then they're also, being part of that audience. If they're interested in what you're doing, then they might reach out and they want to cover you and interview and all of that. Now, to be clear, audiences can be converted into stakeholders. So going back to the organizational example, if you have been following an organization on social media, they follow you, they like your work, maybe they're a much more well-funded organization, and suddenly because they've seen the activity, they've seen the impact that you're creating, they now want to become a partner, right? Or maybe they want to become a donor. Maybe they want to make a financial contribution. And so they switch from being in the audience to now being a part of your stakeholder group because, again, now they have a vested interest, right, financially. So I hope that helps answer the question. Um, you know, uh, there may be different definitions. This is the working definition or working definitions that I have come across most frequently in the work that I do, but I'm open. Make this a conversation. If you have a different perspective on what constitutes a stakeholder versus an audience member, would love to hear from you. Peace.